All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Share the Love. Observed every year on February 14th, National Donor Day is an observance dedicated to spreading awareness and education about organ, eye, and tissue donation. National Donor Day was started in 1998 by the Saturn Corporation and its partners, the United Auto Workers, and is supported by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Resources. By educating and sharing the Donate Life message, we can each take small steps every day to help save and heal more lives and share the love. National Donor Day is also a day to recognize those who gave the gift of life, received the gift of life through organ, eye, and tissue donation, and currently waiting for a life saving transplant, and those who passed while waiting for an organ or tissue donation. Tonight, we have some amazing folks to introduce to you. Share the love, inspiring stories from those touched by the miracle of organ and tissue donation. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. So, right now, we are going to get started by introducing each and every one. My name is E. Denise Peoples, and I am a community service specialist with the New Jersey Sharing Network. And I received my gift of love, almost 17 years ago, of a double lung transplant. So, let's get started. Let's start with Vinay.
Hi, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the session. So, my name is Vinay Bhatnagar. So, I received my gift of life, a kidney that I needed back in 2021. So, it's been almost a year and a half now,
Okay,
and
and who did you receive it from?
I received it from the lovely lady sitting right next to me, my wife.
Hi, Sharika.
Hey, I'm Sarika Bhatnagar, and again, as my husband said, I am a very proud living kidney donor.
Beautiful, beautiful. Brian Glennon.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Brian Glennon. I am an altruistic kidney donor, and I donated in 2017.
Thank you. Let's go with Russ and May Howard.
I am May Howard, and I am a heart recipient of 20 years in December, last December.
And
Absolutely.
I'm Russ Howard, and I am a donor husband. My wife passed in '05 and saved 3 lives.
Absolutely. And the beautiful Jocelyn.
Hi, my name is Jocelyn, and I'm a living donor and also a recipient family. Brian Glennon actually
Beautiful.
donated to my mother.
All right, so let's get started. You already know, everyone, that these questions and answers are going to be intriguing. You have a chance to be involved as our amazing audience family. In the comments, type your questions, whatever questions you have. If you have a question for a specific person, please put that in the chat. And we're going to try to get to all the questions. It's getting ready to be a power packed hour. So hold on tight because here we go. We're getting ready to share the love. Let's start with Vinay. Okay. So can you tell us what led to your needing a kidney transplant?
Yeah, so I actually got diagnosed with a chronic kidney disease almost 15 years back. So at that point in time, the doctors told me uh, that I have something called IgA nephritis, so which
Mhm.
is a chronic kidney condition, which ultimately leads to severe deterioration of the kidney. But it's a process that you can slow down by just taking care of your health.
Okay.
So over the last 15 years, I've been very conscious about taking care of my health, going through regular medical checkups. But I knew one day there would be a time where my kidney function goes down to a level where a donation is the last resort. So
So,
that's something which I knew for years.
so speaking of that, what was your quality of life before your transplant?
So I'd say till the time my kidney function was in the lower 20s, it was not that bad. But once it came down to that level where it is less than 20, I
Mhm.
started feeling lethargy. I started feeling a lack of energy in things that I used to do. And I had a very hectic work life. So I really felt that feeling of tiredness at the end of the day, which I never did for the last 15 years. So I'd say probably a year before my transplant. That's where the situation was.
Wow. Sarika, how did that make you feel to see your husband in that condition?
Yeah, it was hard as Vinay mentioned. We've known about it for 15 years. The doctor at the time told us that, hey, most likely this is how it's going to be. So it was like a sword hanging, right? It was like a clock ticking. We knew this is coming. So at the back of the mind, this was always there. It was always something which I worried about. And then the last 1 year, seeing him getting more tired, seeing him slow down in life, it was hard. It was tough.
Can you tell us about your decision to become a living donor? And did you have any concerns? You have a family. So what were your thoughts?
Right. I mean, to me, it was actually natural. I knew this is something, again, I've had a very long time to prepare for it. So this is something which I knew I wanted to do. I educated myself. The fact that I had time to absorb this and, kind of sort of go through the process, helped definitely. The concern part, Denise, as you said, right? We came to this country about 20 years back. We don't really have many family here. And we have a teenage daughter. So the concern was both of us going into such a major surgery, leaving a minor behind. So, that is definitely a big concern. So it was sort of a tug of war, but I knew I wanted to do this.
Yeah, but because, giving Vinay a better quality of life and, of course, bringing into the world an amazing volunteer for us. We love her. Besides that, you also gained a family. So now you can no longer say you don't have a lot of family in New Jersey because you have us. So we
Absolutely.
So now, unlike Sarika and Vinay, we have Brian. Brian, you just donated because what made you think of it? What was the driving force?
Yeah, so for those that don't know, an altruistic donor is somebody that donates to a stranger. Kidney donation was never anything I really thought of growing up in my early adult life. But 2015, I had a few setbacks in my life, and then I did a little self-evaluation, and I realized that I was missing giving back, and I started volunteering at different organizations, and one of them was the Sharing Network. My wife worked at the Sharing Network at the time, and I started volunteering at the 5Ks, and I joined the cycling club, and but I met a bunch of living donors, and I heard their stories, and I was inspired by them, and one thing led to another, and I went to a symposium on living donation. I learned a little bit more, and I just really realized it was something I wanted to do.
Wow, that is absolutely amazing. Talking about selfless, just giving, just because, hey, whoever can be blessed by it, I want to be a part of it. That is great. Jocelyn, how does Brian's story affect you? Like,
oh God, I mean, it impacts me tremendously because my mother was the recipient of Brian's kidney. And so our entire family was impacted so positively and greatly by his selfless act and gift.
Wow. So, Brian, you started something that pretty much still has not been, you haven't been beat. You guys, the whole chain still stands today as the longest. Give us some information on that. Tell everybody, what is a chain? What does that mean?
Yeah, so since I didn't really have anybody to donate to, I went to St. Barnabas and told them I wanted to donate one of my kidneys. And they said, oh, great, then we can start a kidney chain. And I said, that sounds amazing. Instead of saving just one life, we can save several. Mm-hmm. And so that's exactly what happened. Jocelyn wanted to donate to her mom, but they were not a match. So my kidney went to Jocelyn's mom, and Jocelyn donated on behalf of her mom. And so Jocelyn was really the catalyst for the chain, and our kidney chain went up to 64 people. So it ended up being 32 donors and 32 recipients.
Wow.
It is from what we've been told, is the longest single hospital kidney chain in the nation, which means that all of the transplants were done in a single hospital.
Wow,
Over the
guys.
course of, over the
That's
course of a
amazing.
couple of years.
Yeah. That is totally amazing.
We
Now-
we were amazed.
Right. It's like, okay, I'm going to give a kidney altruistically. And then you become a headline. Come on. And then Jocelyn is like, oh, my mom, I can't donate to my mom. Who else can I donate to? Like, what is going on? That is absolutely wonderful. Jocelyn, when you heard how many people you started the ball rolling, how did that make you feel?
I mean, I was shocked. When the day of surgery, we actually, I was told it was 3 pairs or three kidneys. And so we had no idea. And it wasn't until maybe like about a little more than half a year later, maybe like 8-9 months later, when we were approached to meet each other, that we found out that at that point, I think, and Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, it was 40 something people, 20 something pairs at that point, because it was like 8 months down the road. And then past that, it had kept going until we reached the 64 people. So
how many people have you met from the chain, both you and Brian? How many people?
We met the majority of the 40 something people. I have a few, of course, some people couldn't make it. Some were out of, from far away, or they were away at the time, but we met pretty much everybody at that dinner.
At that time. And then, like Jocelyn said, the chain kept going. So there's a lot more people that we haven't met, and maybe one day we would be amazing. But speaking for myself, I am just so grateful to be a part of it. It's been quite a journey.
Yes. May and Russ, this story.
Yep.
Now, if you don't have a tissue, go get one. Let's start with Russ. Russ, you start this one.
Okay, well, in 05, in June of 05, my wife passed away from complications from emphysema. Her heart gave out. And my neighbor actually had come over to visit her. I was visiting my dad in the hospital. And she saw that my wife didn't look well. She said, I'm taking you to the hospital. She put her in the car, and my wife died right then. But because Barbara was an EMT and a CPR expert, she performed CPR on her until the ambulance came. They continued to do that through the hospital and into the emergency room, where most of the people there knew Barb and knew that she was a CPR instructor as well. So they kept working on Patty until they recovered a heartbeat and a pulse, which enabled us to, she wound up in the ICU, but it enabled us, once they determined that there was no brain patterns, that it enabled us to donate her organs and tissues. And the end result was, it was a decision that we had made. My doctor had asked me if we'd ever heard about organ donation, and I said, no, we never really talked about it. And they introduced us to the representative that was there from the Sharing Network, and she walked us through everything. And the next morning, after they recovered Patty's organs, etc., they informed us that she saved 3 lives with her kidneys and her liver. She gave sight to 2 people with her corneas. The skin from her back was used for a burn victim, and the skin from her chest was used for a mastectomy recovery surgery. And then 2 years later, we heard from the Sharing Network that 2 additional people had received bone neck tissue from Patty, that they were able to freeze, of course, and they were able to regain their quality of life without pain. And 1 person even regained the use of his right arm because of that. So it was a gift that kept giving.
Kept giving. Yes, that's exactly what it did. Wow. How about you, May? You have a story. Wow.
My story actually begins back with my brother Kenny, who was 4 years older than I was. And this goes back to 1980, into the early 80s. He had been on track and cross country all through high school. But at the age of 20, he went into a sudden episode of AFib and developed a lot of blood clots in his lungs and his legs, which resulted in multiple surgeries. When they did some testing at the hospital, they did find out that there was some heart damage. Unfortunately, they weren't 100% sure what was causing it. So they managed him medically and had suggested that he basically stay on bed rest for 5 years. Well, you're not going to tell a 20-year-old guy he's going to stay on bed rest for 5 years. So he, for a few months, he appeased my mother and kind of kept, a low profile. But, then he went on to live his life. I mean, he's 20 years old. He moved down to Florida. He got engaged. And when he was about 29 years old, he collapsed at his fiance's swimming pool. And so when he got to the hospital and they did, further testing, it was determined that he had severe damage to his heart. And that at that point, the only help would be a transplant. So you're talking 1986, not a lot of discussion going on about organ transplant at that time. So for us, it was very frightening. He was actually a dialysis nurse down in Florida, and he had just started his job. Unfortunately, because he just started his job and had a pre-existing condition, his insurance would not cover the transplant. So we had to do a big fundraiser before we could get him listed. So he was listed and he waited about 18 months. And then he was the 9th heart recipient on August 1st, 1988. He was the 9th recipient down at Jackson Memorial Hospital in Florida. Wow. So, so it was just amazing. So they had to postpone their wedding initially. He got married. He went on to have his children. And he survived 31 years. Even on his 20th anniversary, he ran 20 miles to celebrate his 20th transplant anniversary.
Wow. And you're celebrating also, aren't you, Mindy?
I am. He made me promise to beat him. He made it to 31 years. Unfortunately, he passed in August of 19. But I just celebrated 20 years back in December. It was 20 years. So I actually started having symptoms totally different than my brother had. I had started having symptoms back at the age of about 26, 25, 26, a lot of shortness of breath. They first diagnosed me with exercise-induced asthma, which I wasn't really getting any better from. So they started running additional testing. And in the middle of the testing, they did find that I had what was called pulmonary hypertension. And they did find an irregularity with my heart. But during the testing, I wound up getting pregnant. They had suggested that I terminate the pregnancy, and that wasn't going to happen. So they closely monitored me until the baby was born. They took her by C-section. They actually put me under anesthesia and took her by C-section, figuring that was the safest way to deliver. And after she was born, that was when I had my first episode of congestive heart failure. So about 6 weeks later, I went for a cardiac cath, and they found that I had a leak in my valve and that I did have some problems with my heart. But they didn't feel they were significant. They repaired my valve and said, if you want to have another baby, go ahead. Do it soon because you're going to have your valve replaced. So when I had my son 2 years later. And then by 1998, I started having a lot of shortness of breath and was in and out of heart failure. So they had to go in and replace my valve. And when they did, they discovered that I had the same disease that my brother also had. So it was a congenital disease. Nothing that they could do. So they said immediately that I would also need a transplant.
What did that do to you physically and mentally?
Knowing that I needed a transplant, I think at the time, first of all, it was still a little bit in the future, but I accepted it easily. I think because of, at least I thought I did, because of the fact I had just watched my brother go through it, and he was doing amazing. So. He was always my mentor, and, he always helped me through everything. So that was 98. And by 2002, I had gotten to the point that I had to be listed.
Okay.
So once I was listed, again, I thought I really accepted it pretty well. Within 6 weeks, I had it was a false alarm, but I had my first call for a heart. And that's when I realized I wasn't really handling it.
Yeah. You can go to, if you're like me, you can go to support group meetings, and there you see post and pre and all these people. You hear the stories, but there is nothing like your phone ringing. Oh my God.
And I just, my husband at the time and my kids, we were all just a nervous wreck.
Right.
So that was a good dry run. There was an issue with the heart, so I wound up not getting that heart. But it was a good dry run, knowing that I had to kind of get my act together and accept that this was really going to happen. I had a second. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I had a second false alarm in November. which I was ready at that point. I was, my symptoms were getting more severe, and I was ready for that. And I was actually under anesthesia ready when they discovered there was a problem with the donor heart. Oh. So I woke up with no heart, but I knew that I was actually ready. And by the time a month later, I was in the hospital for some random testing, nothing to do with the heart, in the hospital. And that's when I got the call. I was already in the hospital. So at that point, there was no time to be nervous, no time to think about anything.
Right.
And there it was. And it was, a week from Christmas. And that was my Christmas gift that year.
Exactly. So we have a question from the audience for Brian and Jocelyn. Is the chain still going?
No, the chain has, from what we've been told, has stopped, and 64 is the final number.
Wow, 64. That is totally amazing. That is sharing all kind of love. That's just wow. So I have a question for, let me see. Sarika, answer this question. When you found out that your wife was the match, what did you think? I'm sorry.
That's for me, right?
Let me try that again. Renee, what did you think when they said, oh, Sarika's a match?
Yeah. So in our case, Sarika has been the one and the only person who even tested.
Oh,
so that was the first person, because as she said before, we don't really have too many people that we could lean on to. So she tested, and when the doctors came back and said she could be a potential match, and I use the word potential because she had to really kind of take care of herself and get some of her markers under control for her to be a perfect match. So it was a bittersweet news. I was happy because I knew that this could be a way out for me to lead a very healthy, normal life once again. But at the same point in time, I was a little bit worried and nervous, not just about the couple of days that both of us are going to be in the hospital, but also any kind of long-term consequences of her not having one kidney. So, as I said, bittersweet moment.
Yeah. And you know what is amazing about that is you two are married. So your kidney had a lot of love in it. She loves you to her kidney.
Yes.
So, Jocelyn,
I always carry a part of her with me.
I know. And your gift tomorrow better be out of this world, sir. Jocelyn, what were your thoughts when you learned that you were not a match for your mommy?
I knew off the bat I wasn't a match, because our blood types are different. I'm blood type B and she's blood type O, so O can only accept from O. So we knew right away that I wasn't going to be a match. So that was never really a question. But yeah, when we first went to sort of the session to learn about dialysis and all sorts of things to sort of figure out what our next steps were for her condition. There happened to be a pamphlet there about chains. They talked about like 2 or 3 and hair donations and that kind of thing. And I was like, let's do that, and but my mom was not into it because, like Vinay, of course, you don't want your loved one necessarily to have to go through something like that, because you're talking about surgery for someone who is healthy and someone that you really care about. And it took her about 2-3 years to agree to it. So the timing was really fortuitous that it kind of just lined up with, I think Brian and I, when we kind of talked about our stories, our timing about when we reached out was pretty much around the same time. Wow. So it was like, I mean, for me, it was like the end of April, beginning of May, 2017. So I think it was like kind of around the same time.
Well, how is your mom doing?
She's doing great. Yeah. I mean, every time she comes back, she likes to brag about how good her kidney's doing. And she takes really good care of it because my mom actually was sick for a really long time. She's had lupus since 1984. So she's really used to, taking care of herself, sort of similarly to how Vinay was saying, like he had like 15 years, I believe he said, where he was just like kind of waiting it out and taking care of himself through diet and healthy habits. And so my mom's really used to that too. So Brian's kidney is in good hands and it's still doing really well.
That is great. Oh my gosh, that is great. So I have another question, and we're going to bounce around with these questions. Don't forget, to our amazing audience out there, you can be a part of this. I know you're listening and you are just probably crying and all that good stuff, but put your questions, send us your questions. We are waiting. We want to know what you think. We want your comments. We want your questions. And please feel free to put them in the chat, post them, tell somebody that we are here. It is not too late to make sure that you get the word out and share some love and let everyone be a part of the New Jersey Sharing Network's Share the Love event. And I tell you, it is the sweetest thing going the night before I'm going to say Thanksgiving, same thing, before Valentine's Day. So please, let's see. So is there an age limit to donate? So I'm going to say this. Hi, Judy. Thank you. It depends. Every person is different. It depends on any pre-existing conditions. So we have had donors, tissue donors in like their 80s. So every person is different. And that would, of course, we determine medical suitability. But when you're talking about donating a kidney, as Brian said, that is St. Barnabas. So make sure, if you are ready to go over there, and, Brian is a young man, Jocelyn is young. So, hey, listen, anything is possible. Go over to, Beth Israel and get it checked out if you're here in New Jersey. If not, there is a kidney transplant center near you. Okay. Thank you so much, Judy, for that question. Great question. So let's see. Who do I want to ask? Okay. Since I'm at Brian and Jocelyn, what was it like to meet each other?
Go ahead, Jocelyn.
Our situation was a little bit different. It wasn't just like a dinner. It was on national TV. So, we met on the Megyn Kelly show, and, it was very surreal, I would say. One, because, being on TV and then sharing such a personal story about yourself. It was just surreal, and they kind of kept us separated until that moment that we met on stage.
Wow.
So my mom and I actually got our first glimpse of Brian backstage, because he was already on stage when they brought us to the backstage holding area. And I'm going to get emotional because I remember looking at her and being like, oh my God, you got the altruistic donor. Because we didn't know. We had no idea.
Wow.
We had no clue. When they first told us in September, when we first started talking about the transplant, because the transplant was early October of 2017. When we first were told, maybe a couple of weeks before, we were just told, 2-3 pairs, and that there was an altruistic donor. And I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, you don't really hear that much about that. And, to think of someone who's just donating because they want to, not because they know someone personally who's affected by it, is kind of crazy and amazing. But yeah, we were backstage and I was like, oh my God, you got the altruistic donor. And my mom, she started crying. Like, she was just like, that's so nice. And like, she started crying. But then she goes on stage and she's all like very composed, very neutral, very like, oh, thank you for saving my life. Like,
right.
Because she was so scared and nervous. But I thought it was hilarious because backstage she was crying. And then on stage she was like, thank you for saving my life.
How about you, Brian?
Oh, yeah, surreal is definitely the word. I go back every once in a while and I watch it, and it still like just hits me. What a great day! I will never forget it. I am so glad that the kidney went to Jocelyn's mom. Just seeing her walk out being healthy, that's what it was all about. What an amazing feeling.
Brian, do you ever say you're just driving and it hits you what started?
No, not really.
No?
Every once in a while, I'll think about it, but
Yeah.
again, it wasn't just me. It was all the people that kept the chain going. To me, that was the most amazing part of it.
Mhm.
People just kept on donating and kept on and kept on giving, and I am just I'm so lucky. I feel really lucky that I was able to donate. Not many, when people decide to donate, not many people can. People are ruled out, and
Mhm.
so I'm very grateful that I was able to do it, and my life has been, 10 times better since I've donated.
That is amazing. How beautiful is that? So, Sarika, question for you. When you look at your husband and you know that you were able to save his life, how does that make you like feel?
Yeah, gratitude. The fact that, yes, it was him, but it was, we saved our family together, you know.
Yes.
Yeah, for me, it's just that, the potential of what we can do as a family now that he's healthier. The fact that, we can both see our daughter grow up together, be a
Right.
part of that. That is beautiful. And I would say, in the process, what I did feel, initially I was apprehensive about, my own health, the recovery, and I actually feel fantastic in terms of my own health because I think I take more care of myself than ever before.
Right, right, right.
So, yeah, something which I never thought. But to answer your question, gratitude. I'm so thankful this happened. The way it turned out, and thank you to all the doctors and nurses and just sharing. I think a lot of it for me was awareness, building awareness, and meeting doctors and meeting people like Jocelyn, Brian, Russ, and May, and finding their stories and getting strength from it.
That is beautiful. Now, speaking of the love that you two share, you brought a special gift to the Sharing Network by the name of Anika. So please tell everyone about your amazing daughter, Anika. And for everyone, she is on fire. That's all we can say. She sends us emails. She is a volunteer with the Sharing Network. And when she sends us emails, they are this long and it's things that they're doing. So please tell us how your daughter got involved and all of that.
Right. Yeah, thank you, Denise. So, Annika was 14 years old when we had the surgery, and she's always been part of the process. I think she was about 9 or 10 when she started accompanying us to the hospital. So she's kind of known this. She's seen us struggle. We've shared things in bits and pieces with her as she's grown. And again, as I said, right, one of my concern was how will she be impacted? Thanks, Denise, to you and everyone wonderful at NJ Sharing. I think she got a platform. She connected with you guys, and I think she took it in the most positive way ever. What I saw was, this sparked for her. She's in school and everywhere else. People talk about cancer and some of the other diseases. What she realized is not many people talk about organ and tissue donation, right? It's not something which is very often talked about, and especially in teenagers. So her inspiration came from the fact that, again, and she says this is her quote, teenagers of today is going to be adults of tomorrow, right? This is around the time that her and her friends start to drive. And, not many people or kids of her age really think about when they are ticking that box to say whether you want to be a organ donor. So took it upon herself. This is her mission now. She's gathered a good amount of people that she's worked with in terms of teams. So community awareness, talking to people, making sure as many people are aware of it, inspiring the kids to go talk back to their families, their extended families, so that as many people can know about it, learn about it, and to spread the word.
Yes, she is doing just that. And something else, just to make it clear for everybody, we have a program, Donate Life clubs in high schools. So we have people like Anika. We have Devakaran over at Piscataway High School. So we have all of these amazing young people we have gone to their schools. Part of our program here at the Sharing Network is our high school program. So we go to high schools and speak to driver's ed classes because they're getting ready to make that decision. And not to say, hey, check the box when you go get your driver's license. In anything we do here at the network is to give correct information, dispel myths and misconceptions so people can make that decision, so that conversations can be started. I have been at events, had a table with information, and the husband will walk up and say, oh yeah, I'm a registered donor. And the wife is like, what? Conversations. It starts a conversation, from our green bracelets to coming to our 5K to being in the grocery store. And there's some place we have a kiosk to wash your hands during maybe Minority Donor Awareness, and it's the New Jersey Sharing Network. Starts conversations. So Anika and that amazing Donate Life Club, that's what they're doing. They're educating the school, the community, and anywhere else they can. So all of our listening family, our watching family out there, if you have a teenager that you want to get involved, it is a great thing to do. We can come to their schools, may have already been to their schools, and speak to them about it. They can get volunteer hours. And yes, parents, there are scholarships. So get your teen involved, help them to be more enlightened, and help your pockets during college. So right now I have a question in the chat. Proud and grateful sister of May and Russ. She's here. Hi, Ellen. What criteria is used today to determine position on an organ recipient list? It used to be, Ellen, by just that position. If someone got on the list 2 years ago, they've moved their way up. Someone that may be more sick, in worse condition, but you're just getting on the list, you got to wait. But they've changed that because, of course, if a person that's been on there for a while is not quite as sick and someone comes on that is worse, that person probably won't make it. So they've changed the list a couple of years before my transplant, I believe, where it's by need. So it is by how sick a person is, a score, those type of things that determine where a person is on the list. I hope that helps. That is the sister of these two amazing people here. And we want to hear about, since we're talking love, and we've talked to the love that, Brian just felt the need to give. And Jocelyn was like, I want to give too. That's love. Sarika and Vinay, they love each other. They wanted to give to she wanted to give to him. But there's another story here, and I cannot wait to hear it. So Russ and May, please tell us your story.
Russ likes to tell it, so I'll let him. He likes to talk.
Well, the Sharing Network put May and I together at a community event to have a table to discuss organ and tissue donation with the community residents as they come in for the affair. And so the first time I saw May was on the sidewalk when she was approaching, and I said, May, and she said, Russ, and she literally took my breath away.
Ooh, I just got chills. You better tell that story, Russ. Go ahead. I love it.
So then we spent the entire day, just talking our stories, finding out about each other, and as well as, to May's point, I did most of the talking to the people that were coming to our table and talking about organ and tissue donation. But May and I shared our stories, so I knew right away that there was something special about her, and I wanted to know more about her. So we got together for coffee a couple of times, and we started talking about the things that we were doing. May had already been volunteering for both the Sharing Network and also for the Go Red for Women, for the American Heart Association. So we started talking about that, and she was already doing some speaking engagements. So once I had volunteered and completed my training at the Sharing Network and did my first speech at the PNC, May and I decided we were going to get together to tell our stories around the state. So we had anywhere from, 7 to 10 speaking engagements every year. We spoke at nursing schools, etc. But it started out just as a friendship, and then it it kind of grew into something a lot more. And I knew I wanted to spend more time with her. And in 2008, we did that. And then in 2009, we were married. And one of the things I love to tell is that in 2008, I took her up to Kennebunkport to meet some friends of mine, Kennebunkport, Maine. And she fell in love with Maine, as I had already done. So we spent our honeymoon in Maine in 2009, and we go up every year, a couple of times a year, and we absolutely love it. But now May is retired. I retired back in 2014, and May retired this past year, and we now spend 24 hours together. We sold our home in Leonardo and moved to an adult community in Rossmore in Monroe Township, and we're both active in community events around here, and we just enjoy spending time with each other. We both realize that you can't take life for granted. You have to live every day to its fullest, and we do that. And we enjoy telling people that you gotta take hold of every day and live it to the fullest, and we do.
That is so beautiful. That I think the problem is that I've been doing a lot of speaking events by myself. I need a partner. I need somebody to go with me because it ain't working.
You find a partner. It's a good thing. When May and I would talk, she likes to refer to it as good cop, bad cop. I was the bad cop because I would tell my story, and it was a sad story with a wonderful ending. And then May would uplift everybody with her story, with her transplant, and how life has blossomed for her after that. So it was a fun year, fun speaking time, and we did that from 2007 through 2014 when we finally decided it was time to just enjoy ourselves and let somebody else pick up the mantle for a while and run with it. So.
Well, we appreciate you setting the groundwork, the foundation down in Springfield when we used to be in Springfield. And thank you so much for being longtime volunteers. And just, it's an amazing story. It's just, I've been waiting to hear it. Because of course, everybody's like, oh, we got Russ in May. We've got Russ in May. We've got Russ in May. And I'm like, I want to hear this story. And they would go to tell me.
I'll let May tell the other part where how our families are now blended.
Oh. So go ahead, May, tell us.
No, we do. We have a beautiful blended family. Russ has a son and a daughter, and I have a son and a daughter. And together we have 5 grandsons.
Whoa.
Yeah.
No girls.
No girls.
No girls.
Someday, but no girls.
Wow. 5.
So we definitely enjoy spending time with them.
That is beautiful.
And they range from 12 to 2.
Oh.
Yep.
So you guys
we are definitely the blended and blessed.
Yes, blended and blessed. I love it. Well, we know that Brian and Jocelyn are blended and blessed. They've got a connection that just is going to continue. It is going to continue. So let's talk really quickly about any physical limitations or anything from, being a living donor. So Brian, can you tell us, is there anything that you can't do, or, how do you feel?
I feel great. No, there is nothing that I can't do. The only thing I can't do is any kind of physical activity where it would, affect my kidney. But I don't play football anymore. I don't, I'm not an MMA fighter.
Right.
So no, I feel like I'm in better shape now than I was before I donated. Again, that might be because, like others had said, you kind of take care of yourself a little bit better. And no, nothing has really changed in my life. And that's one of the things that I love to tell people is that your lifestyle really does not change. Of course, you do go through surgery and you have your recovery period and things like that. But, after 6 weeks, I was doing things that I was doing before I donated.
Wow. So let's see. Sarika, do you take any medications or anything like that? Special medication?
Not at all. I completely agree with Brian. There is no physical limitation after the 6 weeks recovery period. I would say I am in best shape of my life right now. Take extra care, additional care. Watch what I eat, physical exercise, and absolutely no, there is no limiting factor that came from the surgery itself. If anything, it was positive.
Beautiful, beautiful. How about you, May, as a recipient?
No, I have zero limitations.
Wow.
I'm much better off than I was before.
Yeah. I think and Jocelyn, are you exercising and going on with life and feeling great?
I wish I could say I was exercising, but I have a 2.5-year-old, so
you exercise.
That's exercise.
Yeah.
I was in really good shape until about 2.5 years ago. But I'm going to work my way back there. So, I'm going to get back there.
Yeah, to that exercise, because I know a 2-year-old. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And I know Russ and May, when the grandkids come, they definitely are exercising.
Oh, yeah.
See that little one. Wow, this is amazing. It is not too late. You got a few minutes, everybody, to throw a question in the chat, because we just going to keep this conversation going and loving every minute of it. So let's see. Verna says, been promoting organ donation. I've heard some are afraid to sign up as a donor because of misinformation that they will not be taken care of to survive if met with an accident or illness. This is only one of the many myths and misconceptions that we get when we go out to educate the communities. That is so untrue. First of all, I always say, who in the world is going to go to school to be a doctor for that long, be an EMT, to look at your driver's license and say, oh, okay, they're not an organ donor, or they are an organ donor, or we're not going to take care of them. We're not going to try to revive them. Who does that? No, you have to have, it has to be certain criteria in a hospital. You cannot become considered for an organ donation unless you are in a hospital on a respirator or a ventilator. And there have to be certain medical triggers that determine that you will not survive. So believe me, they will take care of you. And I understand some people won't put it on their driver's license, but they have that conversation. You're talking about a family, and I often use this. John left home at 8 o'clock this morning. Mary gets a call at 9 o'clock to rush to the hospital. John possibly has had a heart attack, brain aneurysm, just that quick. That's how it changes. If they had that conversation, God forbid, John meets those clinical triggers. That's one thing that she does not have to think about, worry about, because she knows his decision. No, it may not be on his driver's license, but they had that conversation. So to our viewing family, out of everything you heard, the love stories, the most love you can give is to have this conversation. That takes away the doubt. That takes away the question. Something should happen. It has already been discussed. So make sure you do that. Have that conversation, because it is so crucial. Have any of you had, well, Brian, I know you have, because your wife works here. Have any of you had a conversation prior to what brings you here tonight? Right.
No.
Absolutely. And totally understand. This is not something you talk about. You don't talk about, a lot of people don't talk about end of life decisions, finances, who's going to win the Super Bowl. I mean, something you just don't talk about. You don't talk about politics. You don't talk about this. You don't talk about that. But we're talking about saving lives. And people think that when you donate, it's to just save the person that you're donating to. I think that Jocelyn, Brian, and we know these two amazing couples can attest, it is not just about that. Brian is different. Jocelyn's different. You know, the relationship with Sarika and Vinay probably different, because there's a different type of bond. There is something different there. So you're not just saving a person who is in need of a life-saving gift. It saves that donor family, because now they have this sense of pride. They are, first of all, once they do this, they become a part of our family. and our families do not leave us. Believe me, come to our 5K and you will see what I'm talking about. The place is packed, and we have 2 5Ks coming up this year. One is on the beach, and that is in May. And then we have one here where we take over New Providence in June. So please come and be a part, start your team. I know Sarika and Vinay, I know you already know, you probably have a team, plus the high school team. Your daughter's got it all under control. But come and join a team, start your own team, volunteer, come hang out with us. I'm telling you, it's more than a 5K. It is definitely a celebration of life. So we invite all of you to come and check out our website for more information about all the amazing things going on. You want to be a volunteer? We have advocacy night where you come and learn about being a volunteer. And then we show you what is available for you to be a part of, to go out and spread your story. You can shadow one of us, or you can just go out and we will equip you with everything you need, all the way down to the tablecloth. We give you the whole thing for a beautiful table display. So before we wrap this up, let's see. Definitely register today as an organ and tissue donor at our website. So now, question for everyone. Tomorrow is National Donor Day and Valentine's Day, and couples everywhere will be celebrating their love for one another. What do your celebrations of love look like now? Has it changed? Do you kind of look at love a little differently? Like, what is your feeling of love when you think about the love that you shared and the love that was given to you and May and Russ, that the love that brought you two together? It's just love here. I'm just amazing. So Brian, why don't you give it to us first?
Yeah, again, I always go back to just being grateful, and I'm so happy to not see Jocelyn here, but every once in a while we are able to connect and just catch up and see how things are going. I love to hear about her mom. I love that her mom was able to be here for her first grandchild. That's the kind of love that that hits me. That's what it was all about. I love it.
Beautiful. That's great how you put that. It's not just you, it's her seeing this grandbaby. That's amazing. Jocelyn, how about you? How do you view love now?
I think it's sort of just reiterated and underlined for me, to echo the sentiments said earlier, is not to take a day for granted, to really appreciate each and every day that you have with your loved ones. I was incredibly lucky because my mom had been sick for a very long time, since I was 3.5. And, like Brian said, she got to meet her first grandchild. When we went down this journey, I was single with no prospects of ever having a baby. And, she said she wanted to be around to hold a kid. And I was like, what child? But okay, let's do this. And, and now she has her grandchild that she sort of psychically, saw when she finally agreed. Not even kidding. That was the reason that she gave me when she agreed to it. So, our Valentine's Day is very much wrapped around this 2.5-year-old ruler of our world now. And but no, for real, just to appreciate each and every day with family and friends.
Yes. Sarika and Vinay, tell us about your love.
So we've been married for now over 23 years. So in our case, I would say over the last year and a half, since we've gone through this process, there's been more, and I'll go to steal the word that my wife used, which is gratitude. There's a lot more gratitude for what we've been blessed with. The fact that we are now able to lead our lives much more in the normal way that we did not in the couple of years preceding the surgery. So in that sense, I'd say it's just a reaffirmation of the fact that every day matters, and we should make the best of what we have and not worry about what we lost all along the way.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Russ, May.
I'll let May tell the story.
I view our love as a blessing. My kids were only 14 and 11 when I had my transplant. I could not even see as far into the future of them graduating high school. So to be able to know that, to be there for their weddings and their birth of their children, I view it as a complete blessing for the love that the two of us share together with our families.
That is beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. You guys are amazing. I've done this a few times, but this has got to be the most love on a panel. And I just appreciate you all. You were fabulous. You told your stories, and I know it changed lives. I know people are, touched by it. And I know we're going to get a lot more questions and comments and likes. So make sure you share this evening and all day tomorrow to, talk about what we experienced tonight. And now we have like all of these great comments coming on that we're putting up on the screen. Best love ever. And just, it is such an appropriate event. Here we are the day before Thanksgiving. I keep saying Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving. Or what? But it's Thanksgiving. The day before Valentine's Day. And it's a wonderful way to spend the day. This will definitely register with me tomorrow as the day comes around. But I thank you all so much for sharing your love with the world, not just your recipient or that long chain, or you shared your love with the world. And it is a pleasure to be here with all of you. It is a pleasure to be with our amazing viewing family. Please make sure you check our website for so many things that's going on here at the Sharing Network. Be a part of it. Come enjoy the 5K and just enjoy yourselves. We have so much going on and we want you to be a part of it. Come tell us your stories. Come let us know how organ and tissue donation changed your lives, because a lot of people don't think about it. And then you start talking about it and they're like, oh yeah, this person I know had a transplant, and I'm so glad they did. We are able to hang out, and so it changes lives. And you all really changed my life tonight, just talking about the love. Of course, every day we think about those of us who are recipients. We think about our donor family, those who gave the gift of life. You are living donors, just blow my mind, just totally blow my mind and fill my heart. And the beautiful love stories between these two couples. There's hope for me somewhere. But you guys have been amazing. Thank you so much for your time. And I tell you, you shared the love. You shared the love. And we thank you all for watching. We thank you all for your comments and being a part. Make sure you check out our website and continue to share the love. Tomorrow, I need you to share the love to somebody who's not feeling loved. Share the love. Share this event. Post it, comment, like it, so that people know that there is still love out in the world. Thank you so much for joining us. I am E. Denise Peoples. We are the New Jersey Sharing Network. And tonight we say, mwah, share the love. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.